Okay. Shalom, shalom. Hi, guys. Welcome. So, for some of you, this is a new format. We usually, hi, Sanaya. Hi, Chaya. I'm just going to shut the door. Hi, guys. So, this is a webinar format. This is like a special Zoom that I don't have. So, the way it works is that I see the chat, I see who's here, and you only see me and the slide. So welcome everyone. We're just gonna wait a few more minutes. Not exactly Chabad time. Hi Ariella. Good spot. Hi Faggy. Good spot. This is so great. Yeah, so welcome. I have a lot of fun stuff to share with you guys. In the meantime, we're just gonna wait a minute or two. Hello. Yeah, the chat box is open for questions, thoughts, comments. The way that I'm going to do it is I'm going to give an intro. I'm going to give you the roadmap of where we're going. And then there's a few sections, right? If you remember the 3 points in the flyer, it was, let's see if I can remember. The last one was tools and techniques to leave, for Tishrei, navigating a craving, and then Tshuva principles, right? So, hi, everyone. Welcome. So, hi, Runa. Welcome. Nice to meet you. So we're going to go through each of those points. We're going to go through principles, Tshuva principles and applying that to our food. Navigating a craving, literally navigating a craving step by step, and then tools and techniques to take with you to the Yom Tov table. So after, Devoree, you're so funny. Oh my gosh. I love you, Devoree. Sorry, you guys, you can't make me laugh like that. Okay, so I'm really gonna try to do this like in an hour and some. So let's get started. I don't even know what the time is, but I'm just gonna ask everybody to like land. It's so hard for me to land. Land means, I always used to, I never used to take a breath. I never used to like come into like my body and like find myself, but really, that's really the only way. So let's just land. I'm not going to take you through a whole reflection or meditation, but let's try not to multitask. Let's try to just be present. Hi, Chaya. Chaya, one of my students from last year. So, okay, so let's just land. Let's maybe put our phones on silent. Hopefully the kids are settled because really this is for you. Ultimately, what we're going to discuss here, self-care is soul care. Sorry, my little, I don't even know how to go to the next one. Oh, just, oh, whichever one. Sorry, technical difficulties. Okay, okay. So, matchilim, as they say over here. So, okay, we're starting, guys. Let's go. So Hamelech Basadeh, the king is in the field. It is a well-known mashal. Does everybody know the mashal? Everybody know it? Hamelech Basadeh. I'm not, tell me. Use the chat box. The chat box. Everybody, you could either write to me specifically, or you could write to everybody. But it's a well-known mashal. I'm sure you guys have heard it. I know. Certainly some of you guys have. It's the idea, it's a muscle, it's a teaching that encapsulates where we are right now, our mindset. It's a storybook. I'm sure some of you guys have it for your kids, but really we want to use this period, this Hamelech Basadeh to capture where we are. It's a time of introspection. It's a time of tshuva. It's a time to like look inside, right? Even welcome. Even outside the Chabad circles, there's plenty of people that know this well-known. It's essentially like the stage right now. My advertisement was though Hamelech B'mitbach. So the king is in the kitchen. So let's just understand that. Now we're diving right in. So what you see in front of you is something that I call the food food relationship spectrum. And the food relationship spectrum means like we all have a relationship with food. Actually, I had a friend once and I thought she really doesn't. Her and I would go out to coffee, Henny guys. I hear you laughing, Ariella. And she would just take out her chocolate and eat it, and everything was fine. And I was just like, I can't do that. Like, for me, I'm the type of person that if I have one chocolate, I have 20. Not anymore, but that's the way I used to be. So for me, I fell on the end of this food relationship spectrum. Everyone falls somewhere, whether it's just bad, disorderly, meaning like I don't have an issue with food, but it's all over the place. My food's all over the place because I'm all over the place because my kids are all over the place, right? Or it could be bad habit, which means it's been all over the place for quite some time. And so now I've created these neural pathways that just like, I don't know, I try to not eat like that and I end up eating like that. Hey, Avital, welcome. I'm so glad to see you. And then the addiction, like we could find ourselves in our relationship with food, meaning we feel compelled to eat a certain way or a certain substance. And why am I bringing this up? I was just talking about the king is in the field. Well, if we want to know, like how to bring Chuva principles into our kitchen, we have to know what's going on with our relationship with food. Okay, so that's really why I brought it up. So let me ask you a few questions. True or false? Who would actually like a king to show up? Write it in the chat box. I want to see who would actually like to see a king show up in their kitchen, because maybe they wouldn't eat the way that they have been. Is it maybe addictive? Like just like kind of, I used to like actually finish my kids' food behind the kitchen door. So yeah, I used to do that. So maybe it looks like that. Maybe true or false, guys? Who wouldn't like to see a king show up in their kitchen? What about, what about you say you want to eat a certain way and you end up, I don't know, kind of going back on that, whether you are in a program, because I know some of you already are in a program. So even if you're in a program and you have certain guidelines or even lines that you want to keep, and you say that you're going to, show up that way, and all of a sudden, I don't know, stress, kicks you in the butt or something else, right? Basically, the idea is that we want to bring Elul, this Elul mindset all the way into our kitchen. That's what we want to do. But something is stopping us. Now, what I want to focus on, there's a lot of things that stop us, but today I want to focus on two things. One, what's 2 weeks away? Voila, it's almost here. Besides the meal planning and the meal prep and the shopping and the clothes and the food and the plastics, at least that's what I call it, chad pani, like the chad pani. I don't know what you call it, like the plastics, whatever. I've been living here too long. And the guests and the simanim and the building and the sukkah and the esrog. There's lots of stuff going. Thank you, Hashem. Thank you, Hashem. There's lots of stuff going on in Tishrei. And at the same time, there's probably also, if you're here, it means that there is a food story going on, or you want to mishaper, you want to fix your relationship with food a little bit. You want to take it up a level, take it up a level, maybe you want to bring it from, we all have, not the best habits when it comes to eating, and why not, right? So we have these food goals. How are we supposed to focus on these food goals, with all this stuff going on? And now I'm going to drop a bomb. I don't mean to, and I don't even excuse the pun, but there's also something else that's very, very real going on here. This, and I'm just going to stop right now, and I want to dedicate this to, the release of the hostages and the safety return to everybody. We should just, Israel should be, we should win the war, and, just enough already, enough. So, but this thing is actually, it's not wearing us thin. It's kind of doing the opposite for a lot of people. It's heavy on us. It's anything, yes, this big. So we have the stress, we have the war. And the truth of the matter is, when we lose a soldier, we lose a piece of us. We're all one. We lost 4 today. So bottom line, it's been almost a year, and it's heavy. Heavy. So, okay, stress is normal. Stress is normal. Tishra is coming, it's exciting, and it's stressful, and it's normal. What we want to do is we want to figure out how to show up to it, right? So we don't, the stress doesn't take us and steer us away from our emotional, our goals. And we don't end up making empty promises, right? There are other things besides stress, by the way, that can sabotage our food goals. I'm kind of mentioned stress today and, being kind of divided our attention, but there's other things like in terms of the mental world in a person is made up of the emotional, physical, mental, and spiritual. So in terms of the mental world, a neurodivergence could really be pulling a person away from themselves. Really, there's, like I said, all over the place. Or what's weighing heavy on a person is their spiritual sensitivities or their emotional sensitivities, or as we mentioned already, bad habits. All these things can knock a person off their game, as some of you know, and we've talked about that a lot in our course Center, and finding our way back so we can honor our food goals. That's the whole question. How do we show up to our food goals regardless of what's going on, right? We say this time will be different, and somehow we find ourselves in the very same place that we wouldn't. And you know what? Whether it's just overstepping a line or really kind of lost in stressing in the food, it's all the same. It's enslaved. It's what it is. It's a meitzar. It's a meitzar. It's mitzvah. That's what it is. So we end up kind of like not being able to breathe from our very low food choices, our defensive mechanisms, our brain shenanigans, right? You notice the worlds that I just mentioned: food choices, physical world, defense mechanisms, emotional, mental world, brain shenanigans, mental world, not listening to the whispers of our heart, our soul, right? Like the boss call, she's out there. She's calling, like, I'm sure you're getting those stirrings for tshuva. And if we don't listen to her, it hurts. And then what we do subconsciously, is we eat to numb that spiritual void, right? So how do we break free? That's the question. And so I'm just building this so you understand why it's so important to bring tshuva principles into our eating all the way down to our table, right? That's why I want to build you. I want to give you the big picture. So how do we break free? That's what we're going to explore tonight. And I just want to let you know that you're not alone. So I used to say, referring back to that food relationship spectrum, I used to, say, oh, I have a friend that doesn't make it on the spectrum. There must be people that their food is a non-issue. It could be, but my husband's like, no, everybody has something with the food, right? So who knows? But the truth of the matter is it's a very, very common aside. This, so and some of you know my story. I've been there and I've done that. That's me way back when. I don't know how many years ago, 10, 12. Well, actually just 7. My daughter's 19 and that was her last mitzvah. So, yeah, I think like I could, if you look up the definition of emotional eating in the dictionary, you'll find a picture of me there, right? And more than that, like I also have the physical, tendencies for addictive eating, and the emotional makeup. I'm definitely a highly sensitive person. The mental, I qualify for the mental, the mental makeup, a neurodivergent, awesome brain I got going on. So regardless, like I've been there, I get it, and I get it. From what I'm trying to say here is that it comes at me from all directions. This idea of wanting to eat, like wanting to deal with life because my brain is all over the place, because my emotions are so big, because I have these tendencies, because I'm so sensitive, right? It was coming at me from all these different directions. So, right, I learned how to set up boundaries, and show up to a program of recovery, which I really consider recovering your true self on a daily basis. And that's really what we're going to talk about. Like, how do we bring tshuva all the way down to our table? Well, I'll give you a hint. It's aligning with your neshama. So I'm going to explain that in just a minute. But just so you, I mean, I'm sure you guys have all experienced this. I don't know about you, but every Tishrei forever I would gain 10 pounds without fail. There's just so much challah. Wow, you know. Okay, so what I'm here to share with you, you know, things that have worked for me in the past, things that I learned, things that I teach, things that I share. Why? Because it's my personality. I'm crazy passionate about helping women and men get out of this mess with the food. Like essentially, it's not really, or clean it up, right? Essentially, there's just something that is keeping them from maximizing and really getting in touch with their true self. Not, I wasn't in touch with myself, let's say when I was in the food, but the way that I look at it is like this: when my food was big, so my life was small. And when my food is small, which means it's not small. My kids look at my plate and they're like, I just don't get it. Like, how can you eat so much? But what I mean by when I say small is that it's bound, it's contained, it's conscious, it's measured, it's, I know what I'm doing, right? So when my food is small, which means kind of bound or measured, my life is big. Thank you, Hashem. So like it just it shouldn't have to be that way. There shouldn't be something that's just occupying your mind. Like food is meant to serve you. We're not meant to serve the food. So I really, really like to help people kind of unravel that. Also, as I said, I've been there and I also have the professional education, qualification as a coach to really figure out what each person needs. So yeah. And then the most important point over here is I don't make this stuff up. It's all there in the Torah. What am I trying to say? We're like, whether our food is disorderly, as we saw in the beginning slide, whether it's disorderly, bad habit, or addictive, it's a constriction, it's a mitzvah. Well, the template on how to leave our Mitzrayim is in the Torah. As simple as that. It's as simple as that. So Ben Bagbag said, turn it over and over again, for all is therein, right? That including the way that we're meant to show up to the food. And that's really what I'm going to share with you, right? Because if we look closely enough, like we're going to find like the template or the paradigm for how to find clarity, how to find freedom. Because when we're stuck, the opposite of that is, serving me on the mountain, right? Freedom. So, and that's, there's a very nice quote from Rabbi Shimon Jacobson. He says, the story of the Yidden in general is a story of recovery, healing, growth, and maturity. The journeys, trials, and travails of the Jewish people are a template. And that's all I want to share with you. Well, I don't really share it all here, but this is the paradigm. It's all there. It's all there in the Torah for us on how to live our lives, a guide and path to discovering our truest and deepest self. So the way out, well, let's see what it says. Like it's as simple as that. Lechem. What's lechem? No, no. Lechem means bread. Okay? Look at the letters. Lechem, milchama. It's a war, right? So I'm not making this stuff up. It's what it says in the Torah. Okay, so let's qualify, right? So the Zohar says that one should, go in there, with the time of eating is a time of battle, or one who desires bread should eat it on the edge of a sword. Eating is a milchama. What's going on there? Why is it a battle? It's a battle in our heads. It's a battle of parts. It's a battle between what? Our taivas and our impulses, our desires, our bad habits, right? Our bad habits and our true desire, our higher ratzon, what we really know we need and want, right? Who's in control, the food or me, the battlefield, right? So there's so many voices. Eat this. Go ahead. You messed up already. What's a few more calories? Or, fill in the blank. I'm sure you've heard it, right? So let's talk about, let's jump in, okay? So what happened? Wait a minute, my slide stopped moving. 1 second, Leela. Oh, here, that's the wrong way. Okay, here we go. So, yalla, kadima, let's go. This is what I say to the girls when I teach an exercise. Yalla, kadima, let's go. Let's go. This is what we're talking about. We're going to apply Chuba principles to our eating. We are going to commit and conquer cravings or understand what that means. There are two different things. We got to commit. Once we know what we're committing to, then we could stand up to the craving because wait a minute, there's commitment. Can I overstep it? How do I overstep it? How do I not? This is what we're going to talk about. And then proven tools and techniques to navigate a month of meals. Okay, so what is tshuva? What is tshuva? So what is tshuva? Can somebody? I'm gonna actually pause for a minute. I want to see somebody put in the chat box what tshuva is. Right? What a definition of tshuva? Anybody? If you don't want your name, if you don't want me to call out your name, so then put like an N in front of your name. Anybody have a definition? Oh, come on. Tshuva, I'm sure you guys know, you're definitely experiencing it now, is an experience that enters all areas or is meant to enter all areas of our lives, including the way that we eat, right? We want to be in a space of I place Hashem before me at all times, right? So, but the question is, who's in the driver's seat? Thank you, Sanaya. Yes, return to your true self. Exactly. Who is in the driver's seat? Is it your Nefesh Bahamas? Okay, that is definitely, yes, that is the, I'm not sure if I could say your name or not, because you didn't write a no, so, yeah, in the chat box, in the chat box, it says, make a mistake, do better next time. It also says, return to your true self. So those are actually both the definitions of tshuva. The second one, make a mistake, doing better the next time, and actually making amends, admitting that you made a mistake. That's the literal definition of tshuva. Returning to your true self is kind of the avira, the spirit of the experience, right? The spirit of the mindset. Tshuva is a mindset. We want to come back into this space of like, yes, right? It's right. So and so that's what it is. Who's driving? Who's in the driver's seat? Is it my stomach? Is it my impulses? Is it a part of me? Or is it my higher self? Right? So that's what we're after here. So these are the 3 points I'm going to talk about when I talk about tshuva right now. I'm going to talk about realigning and making the switch, because you got to change seats. You got to go from this seat to that seat. Right? Returning to your true self, the way you know how to eat, the way you're meant to eat, right? And then we're going to talk about Heshbon Nefesh, journaling, just a bit, self-reflection, and then there's the aspect of just do it. Okay, so the first point. So up until now, right, what are we talking about? We're talking about realigning with, that's the first point, when we want to align with our higher self. When we realign with our higher self, right, so then whatever we're up against is not an issue anymore. So I want to explain this slide actually. It says, addiction is an attachment disorder, therefore we work to realign. Well, you might be saying, well, I'm not addicted. I'm not addicted to food. So it could be true. You're not addicted to food, 100%. A lot of people are not. But it could also be that we all have an addict within, the Yetzer Hara. So whether it's a legit addiction, whether we're dealing with a real addiction or Mr. Addict himself within, we essentially want to convert his impulses. We want to realign. This is a definition. Addiction is an attachment disorder, whether a real addiction or the Yetzer Hara within. So we have to realign a lot of stuff. We have to realign our ratzon. I want cake, I want honey cake, or I want to, I want Hashem. That's already a high level, but like, I don't know. I want to eat like a mensch. I want to, I want to do as I say and say as I do. I said I'm not going to eat it. I want to show up that way at least, right? Or my midos, meaning we have to realign our midos. What does it mean? Instead of being harsh on myself, gevura, for overstepping my lines. So, we're overstepping, what I said I wasn't going to do. I said I'm not going to eat the cake, and I'm eating the cake over and over and over again. No, we're gonna realign the gevura and put it in place of actually where it's meant to be, which means honoring boundaries. I'm going to use that inner spiritual strength to withhold. We're going to realign our mindset. I can't do this. This is too hard. There's no way. Of course I can. Question. It's not even a question. Of course I could do this. And this is lining up with our identity, our true identity, the most important part of ourselves, the chelek Elokai ma'amash, right? So, and when we line up with our identity, when we return to our true self, this is the North Star of habit change. When we behave from a place of who we are, it's easy. It's not that's the difference between extrinsic motivation and intrinsic motivation. It's not that, when I just say I'm not, gonna eat this and that, it's coming from outside of me. But when I say that I'm doing this because this is who I am, so that's a whole nother story. True behavior change is identity change. This is from James Clear, the habit stuff. You might start a behavior because of motivation, but the only reason you will stick to it is because it is your identity. Anyone can convince themselves to start a diet, to eat healthy, to visit the gym, but if you don't shift belief behind the behavior, meaning if you don't click into who you really are and why you're doing what you're doing and what you really want, it's not going to last, right? So again, we said the issue is lechem, whether it's mamash lechem bread or food or whatever it is. It's the truth of the matter is it's not. It's just a cover up, but we're not getting into that now. That's for like way down the line. But the bottom line is that it's an attachment disorder, and we have to realign. And the second definition that I use all the time is that it's a whole person disorder, meaning like it's not just that. That's why diets don't work, because we think that we just try to take care of it in the physical realm. It doesn't work that way. Addiction, and again, whether it's a real addiction, I love the model because we have this addict within, the recovery model. That's why I like to use it. We need to address this thing on all levels. We need to address it in the physical, the emotional, the mental, and the spiritual. So how do we do that? What would that look like? Right? So we're going to summarize the first point, like how do we bring true principles into our eating? First of all, we want to align with our identity, and we're going to realign, and we're going to on all sides, which means mental, emotional, spiritual, and physical. I said that out of order, but that's what does that look like? What does that look like? So in the physical realm, that would mean setting up food fences or boundaries. You come up with them. You come up with them through self-reflection, through reflective conversations with a coach, or in your Soulcare courses, or whatever it is, your soul food courses. You figure it, you come up with your boundaries that work for you, and everybody's boundaries are individual. And then we learn how to honor them. That's what we're going to talk about next, commitment, right? And then we also start to recognize the signs. And what I mean by that is that we learn how to regulate. When we learn how to regulate emotionally, then we know how to stay disciplined, which means we can still honor our boundaries. So even if the kids are pulling at our skirts, or like Tishray's here, or oh my God, what's going on in the world, it doesn't matter. We're still going to be able to honor our commitments because the food fences, because we regulate. We know how to stay because that's how we stay disciplined. Okay, so that's taking care of it in the emotional world. Mind control, which is uprooting those false beliefs, most of the time setting up boundaries for our brain or mind so it doesn't spiral out of control, and it keeps us safe. And we have quiet. That's the most important, quiet. right? And then authentic eating, right? We really just want to eat like a Jew. That's the spiritual, the spiritual twist on it. Like, can you imagine like eating like the Shulchan Aruch says? So the summary of the first point, as we said, is like aligning. How do we bring Elul into our eating? Well, align with our neshama. How do we do that? Well, again, like who's driving the ship here? In order to figure out who's in control, right? And well, we have to take a step back. And that's where cheshbon nefesh comes in. That's where self-awareness comes in, right? Self-reflection gives you the what to work with. If you aren't aware of your triggers or your defense mechanisms or everything, whatever it is, so then you're just reacting to life. You're like, that's what happens. Like if we have bad habits set up with the eating, so something happens and we react. I like to use the muscle of a highway, in our brain. Like there's these neural pathways and they're all like highways in our brain. So I call one eat, baby, eat. And so there's this neural pathway highway called eat, baby, eat. Now there's all these ramps onto that highway, all these different triggers. So like if we aren't aware of what, sends us onto that highway, it could be stress, it could be boredom, it could be hunger, right? Or it could be anger, it could be not, there's so many different reasons. It could be overwhelmed, not just emotional reason. There's so many different reasons. PMS, right? That's a physical reason. There's all these different ramps onto the highway called Eat Baby Eat. I mean, what knocks you off? What triggers you to eat? So we have to first notice it. And once we notice it, then we have what to work with. So there's a lot of ways to reflect: journal conversations, time with yourself. The idea, like journal conversations, that's so funny that I said that. Yes, journal conversations are the best. It's a technique called dialogue. Wow. I also, used to teach creative journaling. I still do, but not in school anymore. Anyway, so yeah, in the journal with another, we want to figure out what we have to work with. So once we have, okay, I am, stepping up to the plate. I am like, I got this, right? Switching the mindset, switching the route zone, switching the midas, realigning. Okay, we got this. And I'm figuring it out because I'm journaling all the time or I'm talking to my friends. So now what happens is, just do it. Okay, well, so how do you just do it? I saw a story today on Jeb video, and it was basically a woman went to the rabbi, and it was Elul, and she said, I don't know, I don't know what to do. And he's like, he didn't do that, the rabbi didn't do that, but what do you mean? You've been learning this stuff since kindergarten. The king is in the field. All you gotta do is ask. So there's a story of was actually in This Week Living Jewish. He was told of the tzaddik Rebbe Yisrael of Ruzin. He said, a Jew said to him, Rebbe, I've sinned and I don't know what to do. So the Rebbe asked him, well, why didn't you do tshuva? And he said he didn't know how, right? That's where the journal comes in. So the Rebbe asked, wait, how did you end up committing the sin? And he said, well, I just did it. And so he said, "B'diuk, the same here. You just do tshuva." The whole thing is that the Yetzer Hara is trying to trip us up in our mind, right? That's Hamaisu Iker. But there's no thinking. There's just do it. You actually know what to do. You know what to do. You came up with the food fence or the boundary, and that's it. You show up to it. It's not a question. What's the question? So the 3 points for the first nukuda that we want to discuss, bringing Elul into our eating, is aligning with our neshama, reflection, and just doing it. Does anybody have any questions or any thoughts up until now? Anything that you want to share or ask in the chat box before we move on? Usually there's cameras up, so I don't see cameras. So if anybody wants to, kind of give a shout out in the chat box. So Neshama. Good question. Well, I like the question. The question is it aligning with your neshama or your nefesh? It's a really good question. So I like to say, well, the whole work here is making ourselves a fit kli, right? Which also includes like the nefesh or the nefesh of sichlis, right? We're making ourselves a fit kli in our head and our emotional body and our body so that we can. So I want to say it like this: halavai, halavai, that we're aligning with our neshama and we're powered with our neshama. In my course, I get very, very detailed in the difference between like what I call off-center, centered, and then like onward and upward in like higher living. The work really is between like off and on. Again, halavai we could line up with our neshama. So I hope that answered your question. It's for me, it's very, it's so the three steps that what someone just asked if I could repeat the three steps for the first point, bringing Elul into your eating. So first we said to align with your neshama. Actually, I could go back really quickly. Here, no, I want to go back for you. Here we go. So we said make the switch, align with your neshama, teshbot and nefesh. Right? I'm pulling out highlights of tshuva, and then the idea of just do it. Okay, so that's 3 points under point 1. Now we're going to move into point 2. Ooh, I really went all the way backwards. I'm sorry. Give me a half a second. Okay, so point 2. Now, this is fun. This is the fun stuff. Commit and conquer cravings. Now that I've clicked in and I'm in the right mindset, now what? Once I've made the switch, how do I strengthen and protect that newfound freedom? And when I say newfound freedom, it's a serenity, it's a surrender. Like, okay, I might obviously like I might not have lost all the weight. Like I've just agreed that like, okay, I could do this. I could do this. I'm okay with, honoring boundaries. I'm okay with like showing up to, a food plan. So we're going to talk about commitment. There's 3 points that we're going to talk about in this little dekuda, in this little section, which is commit and conquer craving. We're going to talk about commitment. We're going to talk about regulation, and we're going to talk about riding the wave of a craving. Now, each one of these subjects, I take 2 classes at least to talk about when I do it in my course online. So I'm just going to give it over on literally 1 foot because I want you to have a taste. At least we have like a taste of the way we want to enter fishing. Okay. So when we talk about commitment, I like to think of making a non-negotiable like nah, right? Like what is a commitment? First of all, like the Rebbe said, there's 3 foundations of education. The 3 foundations of education is Kabbalah's all, it's discipline, and it's Seder. This is what the Rebbe said. What we are doing is re-educating ourselves. We're teaching ourselves yet again how to show up to our word, to be trustworthy around food, right? And the way we eat, etc. So in that way, our lines or our food fences, or whatever you want to call it, are non-negotiable. So first of all, we don't know what they are yet, but some of you do. I know some of you do. Otherwise, like again, you come up with it. You come up with it through reflection. You come up with it through, reflective conversation. I'm going to talk to you at the end. I'm going to offer you a free discovery call, so we could talk about it. We could talk about it. As I said, I'm passionate about helping you out of whatever mess is in your head. And so let's talk about it. And that's one of the things we'll figure out. I will help you make it. You'll sign up. I'll put it later in the chat, the link to make a free discovery call, and I will help you come up with these boundaries. But the point is that we want to figure out these boundaries in a way that are non-negotiable. The only way I could say it is like come hell or high water. And a non-negotiable is a non-negotiable. There's nothing to talk about. There's nothing to talk about. Like our man, Nachshon ben Aminadab, he had, as all the Eden had, a command. Kadima, go serve me on this mountain. Oh, but there's a yam in front of me. It didn't bother him. It didn't bother him. What every other Jew, almost, besides Moshe, reacted. What did they do? Fight, flight, fold, freeze. Figure out yourself. I'm gonna get to that question soon. Please remember to ask me, but that somebody asked me if there's specific, is it important to create specific times to eat? I'm gonna answer that in a minute, but it's an idea of a boundary, and it really depends. Like I just want to stop for a minute and let you and qualify each and every one of you. Each and every one of you know what you need. There's not just like there's no two faces that are alike. People are alike. Everybody has they know what they need. It's just that it's gotten a little bit blurred, right? So that's where a coach comes in, or a course comes in, or the journal comes in to help. Journal's a little bit, it's harder work. To help you figure out what that is, and yeah, that is an example of a boundary, but it doesn't have to be times, but it doesn't have to be it depends. It really depends on, like the context and the history and etc. So it's very possible that it could be a boundary, but it's not a universal one. But it is important, by the way. The question is it important to create specific times to eat? The general rule is breakfast at breakfast time, lunch at lunchtime, and dinner at dinner time, because essentially, like when we're running low on fuel, then our willpower wanes. So, and when that happens, it's not good for us. Basically, we end up in a fight, which I'm about to explain, or we're going to talk about how to navigate. So again, but once we come up with those boundaries, we want to show up to them no matter what. Like let's say time was a boundary, we would show up to it no matter what. So basically, like, so basically. So basically, it's like Nachshon, no matter what. Or Lahavdil, I have to say Lahavdil, but this is Michael Jordan. Once I made a commitment, I never looked back. Can you imagine? That's why he's the best athlete of all time, because of that. But as we're learning in Shabbat Tachon, at least if you're in that WhatsApp group, yes, that is one of the qualities of somebody that's trustworthy, that his word means something, and we want to get to that place of authenticity meaning I do what I say. But at the end of the day, okay, this is not a Bitachon share. Nobody has all those 7 qualities except the Shem, but that is definitely one of them. What my word is my word. That's commitment. That's non-negotiable. For Abraham Lincoln, commitment is what transforms a promise into a reality. But the thing is, of course, we learn that you have to make it smart, which means you have to make it specific, SMART, specific, measurable, achievable, rewarding, and in a timely manner. So in this, essentially, how do you make a commitment? How do you take a goal and transform it from a promise into a reality? It's a commitment. Okay, it has to be very, 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 very specific and balanced. Okay, weiter. So that's a commitment, right? So once we know what we want to commit to, and again, if you want to talk about it, you're more than I love, that's what I do. I love helping people figure out their boundaries. I have some people here in the course already in the chat here that I've done this with, and thank God they've been successful. So maybe Sanaya, you'll share with us after in the chat, some of, a few words about that. Okay. So, but there's the honey cake. It doesn't do anything for me anymore. I don't know what you, I don't remember. Okay. I don't like to think about it, but I'm saying there's something, honey cake, honey, cookies, what's going on here? What do I do? A craving is a wave. It comes and it goes. It actually it only lasts a few minutes. Sometimes it could last longer. Like waves, right? What matters, the preface, is your mindset, as we mentioned. Mitzad, the boundary. If you are not rock solid on your boundary, which means I I personally, let's say I don't eat sugar or flour, right? There's no such thing. You see that for me, I don't eat sugar or flour. So if it's in front of me, so what? Right? So the mindset about how you view your boundary matters. If there's any room for negotiation, there might be a problem. What I like to call, okay, we'll leave that for now. Also, mindset matters in terms of the craving, in terms of the wave, meaning like when you see a wave, are you like, what? This is fun. Or you're like, oh my God, I'm gonna die. Oh my God, I can't. When my kids say, we live in Hebrew, when my kids say, they don't actually say it anymore. What do you mean you can't? And kazeh devar. There's no such thing as you can't. Why is there no such thing as you can't? Who can answer that question? Because when you align yourself with your neshama, or at least get as close as you can, your neshama has infinite potential, infinite koach, infinite, ability. So there's no such thing as you can't. There's no such thing. This is the mindset. So first, the mindset matters. Then, I'm from Jersey. I know how to ride a wave. I used to swim out there. And then when you see it coming, you go, and it takes you. But if you think about it, there's three ways to deal with a wave. There's elite riding it. And if you're really good, you can ride it on a surfboard as this, I think it's a woman here. Or you could dock, or you get taken by it, meaning like, wow, that's the worst. So if the wave is a craving, essentially those three different types, three different ways of riding the wave are different progressions in your journey coming from being enslaved with the food. Eventually, you want to get to a place where you ride it like a rock star, meaning, okay, I have my tools, I know what to do, and the wave gets smaller and smaller and smaller. Intensity, frequency, duration, it all goes down until it's just like a soft little nothing, a whisper of like, oh, you want to eat, and you're like, okay, and it's nothing. But meaning because your habits have become so consistent, think about how you ride a wave, like you ride a surfboard. I've never done it before, but I know it's very, very hard. You look at that. That's a nice squat she has going on, right? And the core is completely engaged. There's lots of technique. And that's what we have to do in order to ride the wave, but we get there. So when we're just starting out, we have to just duck out of the wave. So essentially that means like ducking under the wave. Like if you go far enough down, so then you will be able to get out of like, the onslaught of the wave, but the craving. But the problem is like you can't stay down there for so long, meaning you're gonna lose your breath. So what would that look like for us? We could distract ourselves. We could, get busy, but if it's there, it's there, right? Essentially, what we need to learn how to do, and I really hope you know the answer, Sanaya, is, and Chaya, is regulate. Right? Really, really, a wave we're lost in our mind. So we have to come into our body. We're going to talk about that in a second. So what does that look like? So act, A-C-T. We have to act. This is, like to get taken by the wave, it's just like letting it go. You're surrendering. It's taking you. So you're lishachrering, as it says. As they say, I just combined two languages, lishachrering, like releasing into the wave, but like on top. So it's taking you, but you're not getting it, it's not controlling you. So what do we have to do here? This is a very, very kitzer of, like I said, what we discussed in Barichos in the course. Act. We want to ACT. We want to accept the situation. Oh goodness, I'm having a craving right now. It's okay. You see that? It's not like I can't. Mindset matters. Okay. Okay. Accept the situation. It's only a few minutes. I'm going to be okay. But C is calm. We don't want to fight. We don't want to have fear. We don't want to run. Like, it's like, okay, everything's fine. At the end of the day, all is essentially fundamentally okay. And trust, we have to trust that Hashem is with us and we can do this. So ACT, we're going to accept the situation, we're going to remain calm, and we're going to trust. It's okay. You're going to be fine. You do not have to give in. You do not have to give in to your boundary. You have to, you stay up. We're going to honor our boundary through the craving, right? And then we BFF, right? So we act with our BFF. What does BFF stand for? Breathe. Again, you breathe, find your body, find your feet. This is a technique out there. But what it means is a craving is about being lost in the head, and we need to come back into our body. If we could just take a minute to breathe, we are going to recircuit. We're going to realign what's going on. So breathe with yourself, BFF with yourself, which means go into your body, breathe, sleep it off, work it off, dance it off, smell essential oils, have a tea, whatever it is, like breathe, find your body, find yourself, right? BFF with others, connect, give, get holy. As soon as you get out of yourself, you actually get out of the craving. So, and then BFF again, like Hashem, right? Give it over to Him. We have all these tools really up our sleeves. So again, like accept the craving, accept the craving that it's a craving, accept the situation, stay calm, trust yourself. Then BFF, right? Breathe, get into your body, BFF with yourself. What does that mean? 10 minutes, journal, sleep it off. They say about addiction, or again, with the addict within recovery model, when you're in a good space in recovery, when you crave your tools as much as you crave the original, substance or whatever it was. So like when we get knocked off, we want to get to a place where we're craving yoga and we're craving, the oils or the tea or, the time alone. So this is regulation. So now, before we move on to the third point, because I don't want to keep us long, let me just check the time. Any questions up until now? This is a quick point. So any questions? So tools, I don't see any just yet. Tools for Tishrei. So just like we organize, plan, and shop and everything that we mentioned in the beginning, we have to do that with our food. And the idea here is that, or at least set ourselves up for success in terms of our goals, in terms of clearing our head, right? Like self-care is soul care. So, and then we're going to talk about how to show up to the Yom Tov table, and also me first. Okay, so let's just break this down. We plan our meals, so think ahead in terms of food prep, in terms of what you're eating. If you're a guest, don't just show up to the table and like let your taivas take over. Look around and see what you want to eat. What's my point over here? Thinking ahead. When we think ahead, what are we using? We're using our prefrontal cortex as opposed to our emotional, and emotional brain. We will always make heavier food decisions in the moment, heavier calories, because it's coming from a desperate place, and I need food. No, when we plan ahead, when we know what we're going to eat, whether it's on paper or not, so we make the healthier food choices, and we're less likely to indulge weak from willpower because we are prepared. So essentially, and also the intention and forethought are always coming from our higher self, the higher part of our brain. So a commitment, we talked about commitment, but what about a commitment device? A commitment device is something that you do that qualifies your goal, which means, let me give you an example. You pay for a gym membership. Then you got to show up. You want to get healthy, you want to start exercise, you pay for a gym membership. That's a commitment device. Doing something to ensure the, best possible outcome of your commitment. So in terms of commitment devices at the table, so again, like you hopefully know your food fences and your food goals. And again, if you want to talk about them, I'm going to put that in the chat in a minute. Like, I'm more than happy to have a conversation with you about that. But just so you know already, make a heker, which means make a separation. We know the laws of Taras B'Shpacha, the laws of family purity, family purity, when a husband and wife are not allowed to be together. So there's something on the table that reminds them of that fact. So put something on, not the table, but maybe put the napkin over your plate to signify that you're done eating. Meaning, like, everybody, you take your plate. Let's say that that's one of your rules. I'm gonna have a 1 plate rule at the Yom Tov table. I'm not gonna take more than that. And when you're done and everybody's still eating, so you put your napkin on your zeh. This is gonna say, you got this, you're done, or you push your plate away, right? So, or you take your plate off the table. These are all different ways of all different devices, quote unquote, of committing, that your goal is accomplished. So, and it's a huge win, a huge victory. The more that we do this, I didn't even mention consistency, but this is a big, 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 big part of the program. Okay, what else? What else are we talking? There's 6 points here. Get accountable. Here we go. That's what I was just mentioning. When you share your victories, when you share your commitments, people don't want to look silly in front of other people. So if you share, I don't like to eat, I don't eat nosh. I don't like to eat like I eat healthy, let's put it that way. So French fries is not really on my menu, except when I travel to America. So when I traveled to America recently, I think I had French fries, like my fingers were like one too many times. So then I was just like, okay, guys, that's it. Mommy is not having French fries anymore. I have my fries. It's my last time in Gamarna. Once I said that, there was no going back on that. I got accountable, right? Like with the people around me, or, like you could you could find yourself a buddy. There's plenty of people here. Well, you guys don't see each other, but this really qualifies your goal setting. Ma'od, we got practicing mindfulness. What does that mean? You know your goals, but review them. I have a lot of journals, but one of them is, a journal that keeps my food commitments for the day. Yes, I write down my food commitments. And then also my time commitments, or my appointments, or, like what I need to do that day. Like, actually, the same book holds both of those things. So I review that constantly throughout the day. I actually saw that on a WhatsApp recently, like time management, like review constantly throughout the day, the different things that you're working on. So yeah, same thing here. Like, hopefully we will discuss, hopefully in the discovery call, how to break down the food goal and how to individualize it for you. But the idea is, like, review it. Review what you're supposed to eat, what you're planning to eat, your food goals, and then you're conscious, right? Again, as I mentioned, you don't want to show up to the table and be like, whoo, taken by the smells. It's mamash trigger. No, separate. Make a separation, right? Between, like, you just want to pull yourself back together. So as they're singing or whatever it is, look around, decide what you're eating, commit to that in your head, right? So, but this is being mindful. Okay. What else? So you could apply the same principle that we just meant with navigating a craving to here, which is stop for a moment, breathe. We didn't mention mantras, but you could pull a mantra, into your mind at that moment. Decide, and then stick to it. Like your life depends on it, because if you think about it, it does. What does that mean? Authenticity and living a life of truth, basically as expressed in our interactions with food, is the application of true life, right? That is freedom. So at least for me, it is. Our table is our mishkan, and we want to make Hashem comfortable there. And like, so if we're eating, like we're like pressing or like just not conscious, or it's just all of tension, we're going to eat that way, right? And when we align with our higher self and we get the whole person on board, remember, physical, emotional, mental, spiritual. When we commit to boundaries, I'm doing a review now, guys. When we commit to boundaries, when we regulate, so we can stay disciplined in the face of, those boundaries. So that's how we make Hashem comfortable at our table. There's more. Oops. So compassion. Like have compassion on yourself. Like you're gonna get excited. Maybe I do. I don't know about you about the food, but like so. Okay, give yourself that. Like give yourself that. Like that's awesome. Like look around at all the delicious food and tell your impulse on overdrive. Like listen, Cookie, I'm gonna have some. Everything's fine. Don't worry, right? But remind yourself of the focus that you're there to connect. That's really what it's all about. Connection is the opposite of addiction. And when we connect the way we're meant to, realigning, remember, our ratzon, our midos, right? Our mindset, our identity. This keeps the waters calm and still inside. So we're here to celebrate when we're at the Yom Tov table, Hashem, not only our palates. Okay, we definitely, I enjoy food. I make really good food. And last but not least, pray. It never helps. Like as the army, the army here, they send up, they sing before it's a victory march. They share before they go out and sing. We want to do that as well. Call on Hashem. Like I know it's like it depends on how far you are in the food stuff, but Hashem is there, as we said, waiting. All you got to do is ask. There was a Chabad.org video way long ago when there was only Chabad.org videos for the kids, and there was one Reb Chanina ben Dosa, and at the end, bringing the rock to Yerushalayim. Basically, all he had to do was put one hand on the rock. That's all he had to do. That's all we have to do is ask. And it's Hashem is there. He's waiting. And it's just praying. You could say that. You could say that for us to ask him. Okay, let's sum everything up. What we're here to learn and hope take away is that self-care is soul care. When we do all of this that we've discussed up until now, and I really just mentioned it very, very quickly, but this is the ultimate soul care, right? This is ultimate connection. I mentioned, like serving. I'm going to jump to the second line. I mentioned, like addressing this issue on all fronts. Physical, we set up boundaries. Emotional, we learn how to regulate. Mental, we unravel the cobwebs and cognitive distortions in the head. Oh, baby, I see your question. Is this hard for empaths? I feel you. Let's just put it that way. It's a necessity. It's a necessity. Like it be for empaths and highly sensitive people. My oil's right here. Yes, it's not harder. It's more necessary. It's harder in the beginning probably because we take everything really heavy and hard, right? And that's why the ammunition, for the battle. Remember we started talking about how it's a battle, and is compassion. It's compassion. Guys, look at the letters. Lechem is the issue. It was the milchama, remember? Turn all the letters around, and this is the way out. This is the way out, and it corresponds with the stages of leaving Mitzrayim. And Hasidus explains that first you set up boundaries. At first it's Sormei Ra. That's the first stage. And that's the setting up of the boundaries and the food fences in the physical world. And you know what the ammunition is there? It's compassion. It's compassion. So, okay, let's wind it up. So let's sum it all up here. The work here is on all the different dimensions of the body: mental, physical, emotional, spiritual. And we follow the path out as it's outlined in the Torah. First, we're building food fences, that's Sormei Ra, and then we're building ourselves, that's Aseh Tov. And then we're digging deeper, trying to understand where this all came from in the first place. That's when we get to the mental world. And then it is actualizing, right? Really showing up, because it's never about the food, by the way. It has nothing to, all of this has nothing to do with the food. Food was always our low-level solution to dealing with the problem or whatever it is. And it could be just that. I'm an empath and I don't have boundaries to protect my emotional world or whatever it is. And so we did our best to avoid that or numb those big feelings, and now we have to deal with this and that. So, okay. Where are we? So takeaway. Does anybody have any questions? In the meantime, what I can do is, if anybody, first of all, is there any questions? We're just actually going to wrap up. I'm very proud with the time. I don't really like going over. So, yeah. I need boundaries for helping people, by the way. I really enjoy helping people with this stuff. Shame. Yeah, there's shame. It's a subject, and that's why the first we have to clean that up first. We have to clean that up first. So, and that's why the first step is compassion, right? We actually don't want to fight in a battle. We want to rise above the battle. And the way that we do that is by aligning ourselves with our neshama, fine, but like from a place of love, right? Like if the body feels that you're up against it, there's nothing to talk. We're not going anywhere fast. Shame is a big part of this story, because like somewhere along the line we interpreted that like, oh, I'm bad, or like I'm disgusting because of what I did, and it's just not true. As I mentioned in the beginning, it's a part of you that is because of an emotional, because I don't know how to take care of my empathic nature, let's say, or my neurodivergent brain, or I have addictive tendencies, or I'm highly, there's always a reason, right? Or I have bad habits. There's always something going on. But so but and that's where the shame comes from. But it doesn't mean that I'm saying I'm giving it a place where it's coming from, but it's not but you still gotta work. Makes the work a little bit harder, right? But we still have to work to unravel it. So, okay, so what I'm going to put in the chat is a link here, because I actually have a WhatsApp group. It's a silent WhatsApp group where I sense like a thought. It's usually a piece of writing, because I love writing and I share this stuff with people. The journey and every different aspect about this once a week. So I'm going to put that in the chat. Let's see if I could do that. Oh, I did it. Send? No. Oh, yeah. So that link, no, that didn't work. I want everyone to see it. Okay. So that link, so you could click on that link and then you could join the WhatsApp group where I send a thought like this, all this stuff that I'm talking about here. Yeah, once a week. So that's that. And as we mentioned, I mentioned the discovery call that that I mentioned before. Like if you want to figure out how to come up with food fences or come up with boundaries, come up with a way to like honor your higher self. So I'm because you signed on today and you're here, I'm offering you that. And it's a special offer today. So what's this special offer? So usually, how much is it worth? Usually it's 300 shekels, but today it is free. Okay, so if you want to sign up, so I'm going to put also the link here. You could also put a number. You could put a number, your phone number in the chat box, and my team will catch that. But here is, oh, they already put the link. She's on it faster than me. Yeah, so, or you can put your number here, right? And we'll contact you. So what are we going to talk about in the discovery call? First of all, where you fall on the food relationship spectrum. If your eating is just disorderly, bad habit, or addictive, I have a special quiz that can help figure that out. And then we develop food fences or boundaries that are right for you. As we mentioned, not every boundary, no two faces are alike, no two people's programs are alike, right? And then we start strategizing a food plan that's right for you so you can find food freedom. So, does anybody have any questions? Yeah, I'm here. I can't see you, I'm sorry. But if anybody has any questions, I would love to answer it. I'd love to see you. I'd love to meet you. I'd love to hear, you know, about you. I have a few different creative journaling prompts and also some questions to help you get ready for the discovery call. So if you sign up, I would say even just send me an email or whatever, so I could send those to you. But why not? Like I gave you definitely a basic overview on how to bring the principles of Elul into your eating. Who remembers? Who remembers? Come on, principles of eating. Tell me right now. Tell me. Okay, I'll let you think. I'm gonna use my oils to think. Remember, there were 3 points. We said align with your higher self. Then we talked about journaling and, self-reflection to know what to work with. And we also talked about just do it. Hamaiseva ikr. Okay. The second point was navigating a craving. Act, accept situation, have compassion, don't worry, everything's gonna be fine, and trust. BFF, breathe, find your body, find your feet. It's okay. But in order to stand up to that commitment, in order to get taken as opposed to pulled down, you have to be in the right mindset in terms of the way you show up to the craving and the way that you look at the weight, right? And then we just talked about all different tips, really, on how to navigate the Yom Tov table. So anybody else have any thoughts, questions, comments? Thanks for being on. Avital, any questions? Khani, Carolyn, Deezy, Dobra, Muna, Fegi, GE. Sounds good. Gabrielle, Leah, hi Leah. Any questions? Thanks. Thanks, guys. So I'm gonna just stay here for a minute so you guys could click on to the calendar or the discovery. The calendar is the link. Thank you. Thank you, Avital. Avital. I look forward to talking to you. Okay. Laila Tov, everyone.